welcome to class 23rd. Okay, so today we'll go for the continuation of the hydrogenation process by use of the organometallic catalyst. Organometallic catalyst. Okay, yes, in the previous video we had learned regarding the Wilkinson catalyst. Sometimes there will be question asked, why not IRPPH3 thrice Cl, okay, which we take it as a viscous complex, cannot be COCl, but this is iridium complex of triphenyl phosphantris chloro, okay, chlorido. So this is the this is one of the organometallic complex. So can we use this because which is similar to that of the that of our Wilkinson catalyst, which instead of iridium we take it as rhodium. So question will be like, why can we use this for the hydrogenation process? But the answer for this is we cannot use this for the hydrogenation because the iridium PPH3 bond, okay, between this is very strong and cannot be dissociated easily. This cannot be dissociated easily. Okay, for a good hydrogenation we require PPH3 Cl. So we require one of the phosphine should dissociate easily. Okay, then only the incoming hydrogen will bond to this, and the hydrogenation takes place. But in this case the breaking of iridium PPH3 bond is so strong here. Third transition series, iridium being the third transition series, so it becomes very strong that dissociation is not so easy for this. And when it happens like that, so it will not take in the process of oxidative addition of the hydrogen here. So that's why this question usually in most of the cases, in most of the examination, they will ask this concept. So this is what we have to keep in the mind. Now in if we go for the selectivity, okay, of the Wilkinson catalyst, so I have said that this is been selectively reducing the one which is less sterically hindered. So I can write here like steric hindrance, okay, is inversely proportional here to the rate of hydrogenation, hydrogenation, okay. So more the steric hindrance, less will be the rate of hydrogenation. For example, if I take this compound here, okay, OH, I will take it here. I will take a keto form here, and I will go for some bonding this way, okay, CO, take it here, and I will go for something. I will go here trans way, where you can see in this I will take a cis, okay. So this I will take as a trans double bond here, and here I will take it as a cis double bond. And if you see here and this is a compound, if I take where I have it here, there is a attachment of acetate here, OAC. So what happens now, if you go for hydrogenation with Wilkinson catalyst, what will happen? So both bonds will not be reduced here. So here there is a molecule here, so steric hinder is more, so hydrogenation becomes here, reduction becomes difficult here. So only the product I am going to get is this is reduced. So you can show that same thing, you can keep it, okay. So like this OH, and here as usual double bond O, check it where I have get it here, and just you can show that OCOOMA, same thing you keep here, and only thing, instead this here is reduced here, and this remains same here like this. Only I will show one here, OAC. So this will remain as it is, this will not reduce, this will get reduced. So that is what about the Wilkinson selectivity. So wherever there is a steric hindrance, you can see that it is not going to reduce. This is called the selectivity of Wilkinson catalyst. In most of the competitive examination, based on the selectivity, they will ask maximum of the maximum of the questions. Like in one this they have asked the question of this way. So here like this, and here like this is there. okay. And when you this compound is treated with your Wilkinson catalyst, okay, WC I'm presenting. So what is going to happen? Now you can see here this is a conjugated dienes, okay. So this is conjugated, okay. So a double bond, single bond, double bond. Now this is isolated, this is totally isolated. So when this type of molecule is there, and when this is treated with Wilkinson catalyst, what will happen? The isolated one is going to be reduced. So this is what we have to keep in the mind. So this is going to be reduced, okay. So isolated whatever we have taken is going to be reduced. So this is what the thing you have to keep in the mind. And sometimes in some it will be given in this way. This is all comes under the selectivity of the Wilkinson catalyst. So alkynes will be there, and if you take the alkyne, triple bond is there, okay. Triple bond is there here, double bond, alkene, alkyne, substituent is there. This is alkyne, substituent is alkene, substituent for any ring system. And if you use the Wilkinson catalyst, so what will happen? So it will reduce this, it will keep as it is alkenes, okay. So this it will keep as it, but this triple bond is there, it will reduce to somewhat like this, okay. Alkenes, which is a cis form, okay. So this alkynes will be reduced to here like this in the cis form. Cis alkene is obtained here. So we are going to get from alkyne, you are going to get cis alkene, you are going to get. So this is how the selectively the Wilkinson catalyst acts as. Similarly, if this is a compound, I will take this compound like this, where I am taking a polar group. Either you can take a hydroxyinide or something like that as a polar group. And if you try to reduce with Wilkinson catalyst here, so what happens? The one which is near to the polar group is reduced here, and the product I am going to get is somewhat in this way. This will remain as it is, and this will be reduced. This part will be reduced, which is near to the polar group. So this is what this is what about the selectivity of the Wilkinson catalyst, we can say. So similarly, in one case, if you take this compound where I have taken aldehyde here, and if you try with this Wilkinson catalyst, so usually Wilkinson catalyst is red in color, okay. So this is red in color. So now this group is there here, no as such double bond is seen. But when you go with this compound with the Wilkinson catalyst and treat, so you are going to get a simple alkene followed by rhodium complex the Wilkinson catalyst here, which is bound to what is that carbon monoxide of this totally it will remove carbon this part, and it will be bonded here, followed by one PPH3 and one PPH3 like this, okay. So this is going to be happen, and this is yellow in color. This thing you keep in the mind. So upon binding with this product, the Wilkinson catalyst becomes yellow in color, which is red. Why? Because of the coordination of this CO group, which is from this part, okay. So this also is very much important, how the catalyst is going to what to say is going to act. So this is how some of the selectivity of the Wilkinson's catalyst, okay. Hope you understood this process of hydrogenation, as well as the special characteristics of the Wilkinson catalyst, rhodium catalyst, what we have used. So here it completes the concept of the hydrogenation, okay. So next we'll go for the next concept, that is your hydroformylation, okay. Next concept of we'll go for hydroformylation. What is this hydroformylation? So here also you can see that homogeneous catalyst is used, organometallic catalyst, homogeneous catalyst, organometallic catalyst is used, and so which is important is dicobalt CO8. This is the catalyst CO2 CO8 cobalt dicobalt octacarbonyl complex. So this was first found out by Rocane, okay, in 1938, and he was the first person to Rocane was the first person to know this work as a catalyst. And further Breslow, Heck and Breslow Heck and Breslow, they concluded the mechanism of the hydroformylation using this catalyst. Okay, so this is how the hydroformylation started by this Heck and Breslow or Rocken. So this also called as OXO process. This also called as OXO process. So remember this OXO process. Okay, where you can see that a simple alkene RCH double bond CH2 is treated with this combination. This is called hydroformylation, HCHO formulation. That is what included into here. So in the presence of the catalyst, so that is what I had taken cobalt CO8. Okay, and you are going to get the RCH2 CH2 CHO. This is a product I am going to get, RCH2 CH2 CHO. This is included into here. So aldehyde we are going to get, where two types I am going to get here. One can be linear and one can be branched. Okay, so this is expected, this is not so expected actually. Okay, so this depends on the catalyst. So if you go for this type of catalyst, I am going to get 1:3 type. That means if I get one linear, three branched, I am going to get from this catalyst. So it is not so much good for the for this hydroformylation. But yeah, rhodium catalyst is very good, which is giving you 16:1. So if it is giving 16 linear rhodium complex, one branched it is going to give. We'll see that's which complex is this. So but the mechanism is same here. So whatever we are learning from this, the mechanism stands to be same here. Is it right? So now if you see this catalyst CO2 CO8, it is somewhat CO2 like this, cobalt 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 like this carbonyl group. Okay, so like this it is attached like this is a structure for carbonyl, and it is 18 electron species. Okay, so if you see here cobalt, you know, it is a 9 valence electron plus 4 to the 8. So like this 9 8 17 electron plus it is shared with this two cobalt, so one electron, so it becomes 18 electron species. Okay, so this is what about CO2 CO8. Then but this is not active for hydrogen for the hydroformylation. But when it is treated with hydrogen, so what will happen, this will break this hydrogen, this two compound, and it will attach, and it becomes now HCO4. So it becomes in this way, and this becomes your active catalyst now. So this catalyst is now used for what you say 18 electron species is used for now for the hydrogenation. Is it right? So this is how on hydrogen it breaks into two part, and it forms this complex, and this complex is becomes the active complex now. So we'll start from here. So we'll take this HCO4. Okay, this is the active complex we have taken here. That is our 18 electron 18 electron species, a saturated complex. Okay, it is a saturated complex. So that's why when this happens to go in the cycle for hydroformylation, you can see that the first step here is the loss of this one of the carbonyl here. So definitely, because it is saturated 18 electrons, so it is not going to add anything. So you can see this is the first step what we are going to get, that is HCO3. Okay, so I am going to get here the 16 electron species now with a vacancy here. So one of the carbonyl is out here, and that is a vacant site is created, and it becomes now unsaturated. Okay, complex, unsaturated complex from saturated. Now it is very active for the 16 electron species. Now definitely there is going to add some, what to say, alkene group here, and you are going to get this compound. This is CO, and here there is H. Okay, and here you can see the alkene compound is it is added here. Okay, so you can take it in this way. Okay, so alkene compound is added again, it becomes now 18 electron species. Okay, 18 electron species. Now what happens here, next step, there is migration of this hydrogen here. Okay, that is your 1 2 insertion, 1 2 insertion of hydrogen, okay, into the alkenes, into the alkene, and you can see that you are going to get this compound CO, and here there will be vacant, now vacant C will be there, and here you are going to get this compound CH2 CHR, like this, CH2 CH2R. So this way this compound is going to happen here. Again it becomes 16 electron species, like this. Okay, now see, one vacancy is there where the hydrogen is transferred into this here. So vacancy is there. Again there is a now the because to get the 18 electrons, so there is migration of the carbon in here, and again I am going to get carbon monoxide here, and here as usual is there CH2 CH2R, and here carbon monoxide carbon monoxide carbon monoxide, like this it happens. Okay, so what happens in the next step, you can see here there is the insertion of this alkene into the carbonyl. Okay, this is what very much important. The whole alkene is going to be inserted here, and you are going to get somewhat this way R CH2 CH2, okay, R CH2 CH2 C double bond O, and here usual cobalt is there, cobalt carbonyl carbonyl carbonyl, like this, and there is a vacancy created here. This whole now alkene is going to introduced migration is going to take place here in this carbonyl, and you are going to see here. So this whole thing is inserted here, like this. Okay, and you get here R CH2 CH2 C double bond O. Again it is attached to this cobalt, and this carbonyl 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 as it is, and here there is a vacancy. So like this it is going to happen, and finally you can see here the final step again. Now there is addition of H2 again, okay, hydrogen, and this hydrogen, what will happen, it will break into two now. So one hydrogen, I will make it like this, like this. So one hydrogen is supplied to this, and one hydrogen is supplied to here, and you get back to your product here HCO HCO CO4, 1 2 3, and one more is there, I will not add it here, 1 2 3 4, I think we have somewhere here after addition. Okay, here, okay, 1 2 3 4, like this. Already we had to add it here. Yes, already we have added here. Is it CO? Yes, 3 1 2 3 4. Yes, correct. So here already it is there here 1 2 3. Here already is vacancy. Yes, here I can see is there. Yes. So okay. So here what will happen now? The hydrogen is going to is going to add here, and we are going to get the aldehyde. Whatever required is that. That is your R CH2 CH2 CHO, and we are going to we are going to get this active species, this one, okay, HCO CO3. So this H is going to be added here, HCO CO3, like this. Okay, so this is how again it becomes active species. Again there is addition of alkene, and the cycle goes on rotating in this way. So this is how we can see the help of the catalyst, that is your CO2 CO8. So there is the we can see the what you say, so there is the hydroformylation process is going to take place here. So once again you can see here, so this is a species 18 electron species saturated. So first it loses one of the carbonyl here to form this compound, okay, 16 electron species, 3 carbonyl. So 1 2 3, and H already is there, and one vacancy is created. So now after treating with alkene, it goes to like this alkene here. Okay, now next step is what, this hydrogen will introduce into here, okay, like this, and you are going to get here 1 2 insertion. So RCH2 is there, so here hydrogen is inserted, so this is a 1 2 insertion. So that's why we get here CH2 CH2R. Okay, and here there is what you say, vacancy is there. When vacancy is there, again one carbonyl is attached here, so you get here carbonyl, same thing will be there, all other things, and 18 electron species, again 16 18 16 18, like this. Now finally you can see here there is the whole, this is going to insert into this carbonyl, C double bond O C, like this. Okay, again it becomes 1816. Okay, yes, 260. This is what is happens here, and finally again it is going to be treated with hydrogen here, where one of the hydrogen is applied here, so and it is removed in the form of the aldehyde here. So whatever we required, this is there we get here, and followed by H is going to form here, and we are going to get this HCO CO3 again, 16 electron species, and we are going to see that the cycle is what you say is completed here. Okay, so this is how the hydroformylation takes place. Okay, very important. So you also try it in the home so that it will help you, and very important concept in this. And you can see here in hydroformylation there is addition of one extra carbon is there, is it right? So we started from CH2 double bond CHR, and we get the compound like R CH2 CH2 CHO like this. Okay, so there are here 2 carbon is there, and we ended with the 3 carbon, so there is one extra carbon here added here. And as I said, so these 2 catalyst we are using, and one more catalyst I said, that is of rhodium, PPH 3 thrice carbonyl and hydrogen like this, 3 4 3 PPH 3 thrice carbon monoxide and H carbon monoxide, this is, and H. So this two is being used here, but I said this is more selective. Rhodium complex is more selective. Why? More selective means it is more preferred. Okay, this is more preferred. Why? Because the temperature here is used is here 90 to 120 degrees centigrade in this case. Okay, and pressure, if you see, it is around 50 to 100 atm atmosphere pressure is used in this case. And if you see, linear is to branched. Okay, linear is to branched product, if you see, so it is in the form of 16:1, as I already told. So linear is maximum you are going to get from this catalyst, rhodium catalyst, and branched is less. So that's why it becomes very preferred catalyst than this one what we learned now. So procedure is same. Again it will release one of the PPH3, same thing now. So it will release one PPH3 and it becomes active now. Now it is 18 electrons, so one PPH3 releases and it becomes what, 16 electron. Then what happens again, already there is one hydrogen here. Okay, so that is what interesting part here. So one step will be less, and you can try this mechanism. Okay, same like here, and finally you are going to get the same product here. But here thing is what, we are going to get the linear product more rather than the branched here. But in CO2 COA temperature, if you see, so we are using temperature of 145 to 170 degree temperature, which is far higher than this. Okay, so that is what one disadvantage we can say. And even pressure, if you see here, so around 200 to 250 atm is used. Okay, 200 to 250 atm, but here is just 50 to 100. So this is what, and here linear to branched ratio I am going to get here is 3:1. Okay, so linear is less here. So if I take linear, so it is 1:3. So linear is less, but branch is more in this case. So this is how we can say the disadvantage also you can call for this. Okay, so this is what about the hydroformylation. This is what about the hydroformylation. Okay, so like this in yesterday's we completed hydrogenation, and today we have completed hydroformylation. Okay, so very important concepts of organometallic chemistry, these two things always asked in the examination, this alternatively. Okay, so you go through this, and in the next video I will see if I get anything special on the CSIR net concepts of this hydroformylation. I will include in the video. Okay, and we'll see the next concept of this organometallic catalyst in the next video. Thank you.